Good afternoon, everyone. I am Pavneet Kaur, and I welcome you all to UPSC Optional Workshop. Today, I'm honored to have with me Ms. Sweta Singh, who has been guiding many aspirants for more than 12 years now, and the journey still continues. Ma'am, if I talk about your educational background, you've done so many different kind of degrees, right? From literature to LLB, and then I think it's an inexhaustive list. So I'm very honored to have to share this platform with you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes. So, ma'am, while we were thinking about this workshop, we tried to put all the different kind of questions which most of the aspirants frequently ask while they choose their optional subject. And then I believe that we have covered most of them. So today, it'll be a question answer round, and then I want you to address them so that we can help all the viewers. So here's the first question for you. Can students with science background go for sociology optional? Because there are a number of students coming from science background. That is why.
Okay, so in I would say past 1.5 decades of the experience that I have gained, I have seen that majority of the students have been from science background. If I would like to elaborate, almost 80% of the class, sometimes on a high side to 90%, is that of engineers and doctors, whereby engineers dominate. It's a very, I would say, a welcoming option for students from science background because of the objectivity, the precision that this discipline can bring in. And with that objectivity and precision, a student can really have an advantage in getting a lot of marks because knowing the volume and being capable to deliver it within stipulated word limit, that is 150 and 250, is possible by a student who actually has that mind of precision and scientific temperament. Sociology, as all of you must be aware of, the word comes from societas and logos, that is science of society. So, for a student of science who has dealt with natural sciences, when the student is interested in like taking sociology, that is the science of society, the child starts systematically understanding what problems are happening, why it is happening, and how to overcome the problems. Even the child has a sense of intuitiveness towards what problems the society may face in the near future.
Thank you so much for facing this. Now, ma'am, the very next question that comes to any aspirant's mind is that it is a long journey of more than a year while preparing it. So they usually look for a subject which overlaps with general studies. So, ma'am, how sociology helps us prepare general studies?
So, when we are talking about sociology overlapping with general studies, in GS paper 1, there are certain topics of history. When we are talking about European history, we have the, like, emergence of sociology, where you need to understand and have a insight about French Revolution, the period of Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution. So, a brief overview is given there. Along with that, if you see, with respect to the Indian history also, we need to understand what was happening pre-independence in terms of the rural society, in terms of the tribal communities, to have an understanding what's happening right now. So definitely a comprehensive reflection with respect to history is there. Then you have Indian society component, from where at least 70 marks questions are asked. Along with that, you can also find out that from Indian society, you can move further ahead to social justice, GS paper 2. Along with social justice, there are certain topics in governance like pressure groups, civil society, that gets covered in sociology paper 2 when we have political system. Along with that, in GS paper 3, we have the agricultural topics, and few topics, not all, but few topics with their social connectivity can be associated with the sociology paper 2, rural and agrarian social structure and rural and agrarian transformation, where you study about land reforms, green revolution, and its aftermath. Along with that, you have like in GS paper 4, you have a topic associated with inculcation of values by like family, educational institutions, and society. That topic gets a definite reflection from sociology. Also, when you know the society better, you understand why the ethos, the values, and the sense of morality, the way it unfolds and develops with all its subjectivity, varying from to society, why does it like come into existence? More importantly, you can also find it quite helpful in your essay paper, 125 marks of essay is associated these days for past 4 years related to philosophical topics, but another 125 marks is associated with the GS topics. Like you can get questions associated with components of society, whereby if I take the trend analysis of 27 years, I can confidently say that out of 27 years, there have been 16 times the topic of education being asked and 12 times the topic of women being asked. So you can very well understand that these topics are like hotcakes, issues of development, issues associated with justice. So all that is definitely covered quite exhaustively in sociology. The best part is when you know these topics very exhaustively through the optional subject. So when you have to reproduce it in, like, let's say 1000 or 1200 words for essay, you have a lot of content to deliver. You have a lot of insights to put in for essay, whereby you get an edge over other candidates. Last but not the least, in the interview also, sociology optional helps you for the simple reason that you can find that whenever the individual is going ahead with certain number of questions, the UPSC examiner feels more comfortable to start off with like hobbies or the student's background, and then what's happening currently in the society and what is the opinion or the view of a student regarding what's unfolding in the society. So, sociology, or I would say the current social issues, are the comfort zone for the examiner to start off with the interview, and also to test the sense of connectivity with the larger concerns of the society, the sense of curiosity, and the sense of responsibility which a future civil servant can take. So, it becomes a, I would say, a very important topic when it comes to the interview component.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for addressing this. From this, I can understand that not only in our GS papers, but then this particular component also helps us in our prelims as well as interview stage. And in the recent years, if I look at the trend, even the essay topics are becoming more thematic in nature, which are society based and not the topical essays, which are similar to other GS subjects.
Yeah.
All right. So, ma'am, the next question that I would want you to address is that once students just connect with any particular mentor, so the journey is not limited only to the classrooms, right? It is beyond that. So how does it work beyond the classroom?
So, before addressing this question, that how we are helping this out for students beyond the classroom program once the session is over, prior to that, there is a question which Virendra is asking. So, Virendra, yes, I would be taking the classes, and primarily you will find me for 90% of the sessions. If I'll feel that there are certain sessions which can be supported by someone else as well, definitely that also shall be shared. I'll be taking all your questions, all those students who are attending this session live. For example, right now, Tony, Shark, whoever you are, so you are asking about the current affairs. Do you need to include relevant current affairs issues related to sociology optional? Yes. And I'll guide you which issues can be reflected. You'll find in my lecture, I make it very much interactive, and I keep connecting it with whatever is happening in and around you, formally as well as informally, so that a wholesome understanding is developed. I share a lot of current affairs material also, and whatever is in news in the closed group of sociology, which is created for every batch. Now, the issue is beyond classroom, what all is done. So, beyond classroom, how a student remains in connect. First and foremost, we create, like, till last year, I mean, till last batch, I should say, not last year, till last batch, till March, we had a closed WhatsApp group in which only the students and the course coordinator is there, and we have a very, I would say, a meaningful interaction, a two-way interaction. It's an open platform whereby students also post, they also write, they also share their opinions. I encourage them to do so, and I also keep sharing whatever relevant stuff I'm reading, coming to know, or even if I'm on a trip, I'm coming across some kind of piece of information, or reading some newspaper article, or some journal, anything that is coming across and it is of sociological importance, that is shared. And students tend to interact. Not just that, beyond the class, once in a while, when a student has some emotional breakdown, or some child wants to share something which is too personal, and wants some guidance which may be sociological in nature or beyond, it can be related to personal life as well, I have stood for my children, I have stood for all my students. And to the extent that, even today, The 2013 batch was the first batch in which I created the WhatsApp group. It still exists. Though the frequency of interaction is not so very much, and none of us could, like, step out of the batch, as in we could not leave that group, but the group still exists. Okay. Definitely, the groups which were created later, like, means students who are still in the game, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, all these groups are fairly active, and they keep sharing whatever, like, insights they have or they want to share with their friends. Along with that, if there is any update, latest update which I'm finding, I keep sharing it there. There is an open Telegram channel also under Sweta Singh Sociology, that is SWETA. That's how my father, like, gave my name, so it's SWETSINGH. So the Telegram channel is also there, where I keep posting anything which is of relevance for the students, so that they keep getting inspired, that what all should be, like, added, or probably what all can be reflected. So, but I'm more frequent in the closed group for obvious reasons, because the batch constantly needs hand holding and that support. So that's the extra support which I provide. Yes, once in a while, if a student needs to talk, I talk also, and like, over the phone. And one extra thing which I do, suppose if I'm on my way and I cannot provide answer to a question which a student has asked, I mean, I cannot type so much, so I send audio messages also. But I see to it that the issues are addressed. None of the issues go unheard. And every student feels that beyond the classroom also, the teacher is available. Like, not just as a teacher, someone who is senior, someone who is like a guardian, like a parent like person, who can guide them and understand their challenges and the fights of this journey which is sometimes quite lonesome. So the child should not feel left out. That's why.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, before moving to the next question, there is the student Shiva Kiran, and then that person is asking, ma'am, after joining your classes, do I need to refer books?
So, when it comes to this question, Shiva, that do you need to refer to books? Well, there are two sets of material which I prepare. One is the handout. So, rather, I should say three stages of preparation. First is the lecture. My lectures will be as if you're listening to a very simplistic explanation of whatever has to be taught. So you gain a first hand information, wholesome understanding of the topic. So the lecture is level A. It's very easy, very simplistic, yet I try to create that thought provoking insight. That's level A. Then comes level B. At level B, that is the handouts which I provide. I do not believe in dictating in my class. Like, 90% of the content is not dictated. Everything that I have to dictate with all the details possible, I provide it in the form of the handout. Okay, so the handout is quite exhaustive, updated, and simplistic in language. So that's level 2 of preparation. That is the handout, which is the base tool for a student from where the child can prepare, like, keywords or short notes or flow charts, etc. So I keep making flow charts in the class also, along with the discussion on the handout. And the third level is that of the books, which I don't think that a student can actually purchase so many books. It's just not possible for a child to, like, buy half dozen or 1 dozen books. And I have my own library. So what is the purpose of that library? So what I have done is, suppose if I have to like, encourage a child to read some portions from TB Bottomore related to chapter 1 and chapter 2, and some portions from, like, let's say, IGNU for chapter 1, and then I want, like, for thinkers, the child to read from Ritzer, and something from Abraham and Morgan also. So what I have done is, I have lifted those specific paras, those insights, and I have got it all typed. So, like, in my college days, my professors, they used to provide me handouts. So every chapter that we used to study and she used to explain in the class, she used to provide handout of some noted academicians and thinkers, some extra reading material which every student should be reading. That is how probably any good college in Delhi University operates. So we were in that habit. Probably subconsciously that habit continues, because always remember, the evaluation of your copies will be done by senior professors of various central universities. They will be the people who will be hired for that, not a coaching teacher. So an academic approach and an academic insight is necessary to be developed. It cannot be, the answers cannot be general studies in nature, very, like, casual in nature, or like as if a journalist is writing. There has to be some kind of academic insight and expertise. So for that, rather than encouraging a student to buy books, I have, like, taken out paras from different books and created booklets for different chapters. So like, let's say if I have to discuss something associated with postmodernity and tribals, or postmodernity and urbanization, then I have picked paras from S.L. Doshi. If I have found like something associated with a religion quite titillating from Pulinga, I have picked that from like Pulinga. So different authors have been consolidated in that booklet. So I always encourage the student that once you've done the lecture and once you have been through with the handout, then read the booklet, because booklet is hardcore academic reference material. It is from different types of sources, I would say, and that needs a level of, I would say, academic expert. Like, you cannot straight away jump to it, otherwise you will start sleeping over the material. You'll be like, hi, samajh nahi aa raha, I'm feeling like really nervous, I cannot understand what it is. So first, creating the basics, fixing the keywords, making a child understand the concept, so that when the child is getting introduced to the academic orientation of those words, the child can connect and enjoy, and also savor the academic expertise. So something extra which a child is gaining from the books, which is making the child think and connect at deeper levels. So I don't think so you need to buy.
I hope, Shiva Kiran, your doubt has been properly addressed. And I agree with you, ma'am. There are many aspirants and students who feel that they just opt for any optional which has a very shorter book list. So, ma'am, the next question is, uh, if we talk about current affairs, it plays a great role in this exam. But if we talk about sociology as an option, what is the contribution of current affairs in this particular type of option?
So, see, basically, um, in general studies or in essay or in optional or even in interview, the examiner wants to see you as a thinking human being, as a person who is connected to what all is happening, and being capable of connecting the theory with it. I mean, a person should not be just knowing things academically or theoretically. The child should be capable to reflect upon it with respect to what's happening in and around. So that's how you see that even in paper one, when there are questions related to thinkers, once in a while the examiner can ask you, for example, the examiner can ask you that how can you reflect upon Parsons' theory with respect to a university, the functioning of a university? Or how can you see Merton when you are crossing a red light? So, like, with the way people follow the traffic rules and whatever is unfolding on the road, how can you observe Merton? So, it's about remembering the theory, recalling the theory, and applying it like on ground. So, that is something which I try to create, that you know the theory first thoroughly. And once you know the theory, how you should be like fluid in terms of applying it, in terms of thinking and connecting with it, that is something which I give an extra stress on in the class. And I keep, like, once few chapters get completed and a child starts gaining stability, I help the student connect one chapter with the other and create, like, I would say, inter-topic questions, so that a child develops that sense of understanding through the interdisciplinary and inter-topic understanding, which is necessary once in a while in this subject. um, some people feel that it is sociology paper 2 which is dynamic. No, if you actually pay attention to questions from 2014 to 2021, on and off, even paper 1 questions are quite applied in nature. But applied does not mean that the entire answer is based on current affairs. It means that 60 to 70% of reflection is coming from the theoretical insights. It is coming from the theoretical like understanding of the topic. And then you have to connect that theory with whatever is like going on or is unfolding in the current scenario. With respect to book list, all those students who are asking that, ma'am, what should we go ahead with in terms of book lists? Well, any student who wants to go ahead with book list, I'll always advise go for good academic sources. See, IGNU is a bit too stretched. So there can be a tendency that you might sleep over those books. So best part is, if you're referring IGNU, be super smart and super fast. If you feel a para is predictable, or there are things to know, question, answer, all that stuff, just jump, skip. Just read only relevant paras which you feel that, okay, this is, and always keep the syllabus in hand, so that you are aware that, okay, these are the topics, and you tally those topics and just read that. To begin with, you can start with Harlembus. Many people say Orange book is like more crisp and it is shorter. Yeah, definitely it is. But thing is, whether it is the Orange book or the Blue book, both are quite exhaustive, and not every chapter has to be read. Okay, so what I can do is I can just provide page numbers associated with the books that you have to read in terms of this Harlembus, or like I prefer the blue Harlembus. Okay, so I will always encourage you people to read the blue Harlembus, especially for chapters like sociological perspectives, social stratification, family, chapter family and householdism, and chapters related to political system. Okay, so these are some very important areas which should be finished from Harlembus. For thinkers, Ritzer is the best book, I would say. So you can read Ritzer. And along with that, for paper two, there is this Mohapatra sir had edited a book associated with this society in India, in which he had compiled list of, I would say, articles from G.S. Ghurye to M.N. Srinivas. So all the noted like sociologist Yogendra Singh. So all their articles have been compiled. So it's not a book written by him, rather all the important academic articles which a sociology aspirant should know. So those articles are edited. So that will be helpful to fix few basic topics associated with sociology papers. So I'll share the, like, the book list in the group if anyone is interested to read from those books originally. Otherwise, the booklets, there are 8 booklets which I'm providing. And as I told you, like, the material is prepared from all these books. The booklets are not written by me. I'm not a researcher to write on every single topic, and no researcher can write on all topics. People write on specific topics, the areas of their like interest and expert. You will find those booklets incorporating all the important articles from different books compiled together. So that is my compilation and my editing, which you can like benefit from. Also, another thing which you are asking, ma'am, will the lectures be live or recording? Live. There will be live lectures with backing of recorded session, just in case someone falls ill, or there is, God forbid, an surmountable condition because of which a child does not attend the live session. So in that case, the child can also attend the recorded session. But always remember, in a live session, the kind of interaction you can establish, and the level of questions that you can ask, and the fun you can have in the class, that cannot be created to that extent in a recorded session, because then the sense of connectivity definitely gets impacted. So you want.
So, ma'am, there is this student X girl. That person is asking whether they need to read something prior to joining the classes or not. Is there some kind of reading required in the class?
It is advisable that the school books, standard 11, 12th NCRT. So read standard 11th. There are 2 NCRTs for that. One will introduce you to the name of thinkers, basic concepts and all related to Indian society. And you can just read the other book which is associated with the society per se, and then the 12th standard book. But don't make notes, don't underline, just run through it, understand it, get introduced to the key terms, names, like, so that when you start off with the lecture, you're able to connect with it. If you want to go an extra mile, then in that case, what I can suggest is you can like either open IGNU, or you can open TB Baltimore for the initial first 2 chapters, or sociological perspectives you can read from Harlembus. Just run through it, so that when I'm using those terms in the class, you will be at least aware that, oh yes, this word does exist. Even if you could not grasp it completely in the book, in the lecture you will be able to grasp it in totality. So a beforehand sense of comfort related to few terms, few concepts can be established if you can read it like beforehand. That is what is advisable. Along with that, class timings, and you're asking that, ma'am, when is the admission process? The admission is open. I would be like, taking a workshop. This is an FAQ session. So frequently asked questions. So I'm just indulging in questions. An overview about the approach, the syllabus, etc. shall be discussed on 20th of this month. And I'm planning to give you a list of, because as the admission starts like getting unfolded, I will prepare, like this year I'll like create a private group, a closed group on Telegram rather than WhatsApp. And there I'll start sharing the readings, so that what all a student should like read beforehand, before the lecture starts. And when I'll start the lecture, I'll see to it that the child is able to connect with it. So I want to create a basic background before the lecture starts. That's why I've chosen 11th of July as the, like, the starting date of the batch.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, a big chunk of students usually go for a trend. Say XYZ optional is there are a number of people who get selected from XYZ subjects. So, do you feel that this present trend of getting high marks in sociology optional continue?
See, despite teaching this optional, I'll never ever push a student to take the optional just because it's trendy or it's popular. I have had seniors, like when I was a student, just after completing my postgrad, my senior from LSR, like she was 4 5 batches senior to me. She was All India topper in 2006, Mona Pruthi, with English literature, where you don't get any coaching, any material, anything per se. And it was not just Mona, the later also, like I have seen students clearing the exam with Marathi literature or with Punjabi literature, Kannada literature, Maithili literature, Hindi literature. And these are about literature subjects. Same is with other off track subjects like mathematics or commerce or even engineering subjects. So I'll never ever push a student that takes sociology because it's very scoring. Take this subject because it will help you understand the society before you go to serve it. It will help you to develop the knack and the sense of a wholesome clarity about what's happening, why it's happening in the society, from political affairs to cultural affairs to the social unfoldings to the frictions, to, despite all frictions, the cooperation that exists. Everything and the logic behind it. So you will be able to grasp that in totality once you do the lectures or once you enjoy the discipline. It's not necessary if you do the subject with me. Any person who loves to teach and who loves to indulge with this discipline can do that justice. Okay. So if you opt for this optional, it will nourish your roots to be a very sound and a very, I would say, compassionate bureaucrat for the system, for the people. One thing. Second thing is associated with, as you're saying that, ma'am, is the optional very scoring? Yes, thankfully, by God's grace, this optional has performed very well. In past 1 decade, not a single year it has fumbled. If someone misinforms this to you, the sociology did not perform well this year, let me tell you, majority of the optionals could clear somewhat around 300. My student from 2017 batch, Lakshman, Dongri Lakshman, he got 304. He's All India Sociology topper. But I felt like whacking him up, I'm being very honest, because I did not pay attention whether he is revising his ethics paper and his essay paper, because scoring 4 areas: optional, essay, ethics, and interview. Always remember that these are the areas where there is high degree of subjectivity, where they can pull you down also and they can help you sail up. So what happened was, this fellow last time he got in essay 154, then 137. So he's very confident, essay I'll just pull through. Same as with ethics. In ethics, he had 128, so he's very confident. Ethics is my stronghold. He did not revise and practice. And that was the fatal blow, because of which he could not make it this year to the list. I was more disappointed than him. And I was so much grief struck that 2 3 nights I could not even sleep properly. I don't know what I kept dreaming and imagining. I don't want to get into the details. But yes, emotionally, I really get affected when my students goof up. And I need to own up failures also. But sociology as an optional does not quit upon you. You can find a lot of students at all India level under 100 who have got something around 280s, 290s in sociology. So it's definitely a fetching optional. All you need to do is enjoy the subject, understand every bit, write it with some like academic insight and expertise, not like a commonsensical approach. Okay, so with that, you can really perform very well in this, right?
So, we always have to be when it comes to planning and time management this exam. So we should always have some kind of timeline for it. What is the best time to prepare for sociology optional?
The best time to prepare for optional is now, because of, I would say, the timing which you can invest in the optional. Suppose a student is aspiring to prepare for next year, is about to appear for next year prelims, then in that case the student will be doing the optional, and I'll like, definitely when I start in July, I'll try to like wrap it up, even if despite the breaks, like you have Diwali and Christmas and New Year and Durga Puja and all that stuff, despite all breaks, I'm very disciplined about finishing the lecture in a stipulated target. Generally, my lectures, they sum up to from 84 lectures to 90 lectures. That's the ideal bandwidth, depending on the level of perception of a batch. If a batch needs some extra attention on a topic, so maybe in previous batch I've taken 3 lectures, but in that batch I may end up taking 4 lectures. So with that fluidity, once in a while required for some or the other topic, I take around 84 to 90 sessions related to sociology. This batch, which will be starting in July, with all the breaks considered and weekends considered, it will be over by December and January first week or so, so that you have enough time to again revise sociology and keep it by March, and you can give exclusive attention to your GS preparation January onwards, which would be like prelims oriented. Because right now your even preparation for GS should be related to pre-com mains, because this year's prelims, if any student has appeared for it or knows how the questions are asked, you shall be aware of this fact that the process of elimination was not working. I mean, you you were stuck up because every option was sounding correct. And if you really knew the theory, then only you could mark the options. So knowing the theory and connecting the theory with current was also required for this year's prelims. So a wholesome understanding of theory plus current is should be established in this year, that is till December. And then exclusive attention slowly and steadily should be developed in January. Feb onwards, you should be very focused for your prelims. And that's why I would be trying to complete the batch definitely by December end or January first week. This is what I'm targeting. If let's say any student joins the batch in the batch of November or so, so definitely that child will have to get prepared to carry forward with the calendar till like March or maybe first week of April. And then there will be a stretch how to balance the optional classes and the content with like prelims preparation. So I generally finish the lecture in that case when a student is starting in October or November, I finish it by March end for sure. But thing is, I do feel the stretch which students start feeling from 10th, 15th of March onwards when they have to appear for prelims in May. So this is the best time to start with optional. You have enough time to think, understand, read, refer, prepare notes and revise. Okay?
Named Kanav. He's asking that could you please share some tips for optional paper 1, and also he adds that whether writing an answer in bulletin points will help or writing in paragraphs will help, which is a better way of writing.
See, it depends on the question. Bullet point, suppose someone is asking you differentiate between caste and class or caste and tribe. So in that case, if you're mentioning the points in bullets, that will work. But if there is a question on thinkers, like let's say Karl Marx or Merton or Durkheim, and you're putting it in bullet points, it does not look, I would say, very matured. In that case, I'll always encourage paraphrase the same information with full sentences. That will be something which will be fetching more marks. Because as I told you, in the end of the day, the examiner is a university professor. And the person is in the habit of seeing the information in a more paraphrased manner when the question is in depth and engaging. So and like suppose there is a question which is more objective type, like let's say if there is a question differentiate between positivism and non-positivism, you write an introduction, and after that even if you go for bullets and then like write a conclusion in a sentence format, that will do. So for objective type questions or questions which are very direct and factual, the bullet approach will do. But in general, paraphrasing is what is advisable for majority of the questions, because this is optional, not GS. And the language does play the game, because there are two ways of communicating. One is you communicate with the examiner via writing skills, and second is with your oral skills. So you have to have some powerful level of formal communication with the examiner via that. Can students who are attending offline also get online access? Yes. In that case, like if a student is attending the offline classes, Harsh, and then in that case, if the student is coming for online, because the child has missed, that definitely shall be supported. And Nishant, you're asking that Harlumbus is considered the standard book for optional. Yes. So it is necessary to go through the key chapters. Not every chapter is required, but few key chapters are required to be read, and not necessarily make notes out of it, because handouts, I have done that work. But Once you read it, you understand how academicians engage with a topic, think, and enroll the insight associated with a topic. So reading it gives you a better understanding of how to engage with a topic in the like aspiration of a topic, even though you have to write it in 150 words or about 300 words in the mains. So it is advisable that you should read that book, despite the fact that I'll be providing it in the notes. But I'll encourage you that even if you're not making notes out of our numbers, just read it once. Because one thing which a student of civil services should do is enjoy reading, celebrate learning. Okay, so you cannot say that kitne kam padhne se ho jayega. You have to be like, how smartly I have to study. The most important things, what are they, and how smartly I have to study that. That is something which I can say. So, Prabhash, with respect to sociology optional books, I'll post it in the Telegram channel, okay, from where like you people have connected. So I'll post the book list for like Janta in general, that how they should go ahead with the reading of it. And sociology is not a background. Can I start with NCRTs? Yes, you can. But remember, NCRTs are school books. You don't have to make notes from them. Neither the examiner is going to ask from NCRT level. So you can just, like Karishma, you can read NCRTs, but just run through it. Don't try to make notes. That is not the level of the exam, right?
Avantika, and she's asking, while taking the live lectures, will she be getting notes or she has to
Yes.
make running notes for
Yes,
it?
yes. You'll be getting notes. See, as I told you that I refrain from dictation, so what I actually do, which I have done in the past, is I provide the handout. Okay, so suppose a given topic has 20 or 30 pages of handout. Sometimes there can be very exhaustive topics like family, marriage, kinship, paper one also and paper two also. So it's like the global perspective and the Indian perspective. The notes clubbed together, 35, 40 pages together, 75 pages note. That also happens once in a while. But it's a combination of both the papers, paper one and two. But in general, a topic is around like, let's say 15 to 30 pages material. What I do is, as I explain the concepts in the class, when once in a while I open the handout also in the soft copy version, whereby the student has an access to that soft copy, can take a printout and use the hard copy also. It's always advisable that you can take the hard copy, because then you can underline or highlight. But nowadays there are a lot of software and tools by which you can like highlight, or you can write extra material, whichever like I explain in the class. Along with that, I make flowcharts of the same content in the classroom, so you can keep drawing the flowcharts. That's what you need to do. So majority of the times you'll have to focus, listen, understand, identify the keywords, make a flowchart out of it, and gain a wholesome understanding of whatever is being explained with examples. A lot of examples which I'll be using to simplify the concept. So that's what you can.
Uh, Ma'am, now when we talk about this preparation, the next big pillar is practicing. Once we cover this, so what is your idea of practicing? Whether a person should join test series or they can practice by sitting at home? What is the difference?
Well, test series brings in discipline. This is what I will say. Because if you are self disciplined and you can, like, prepare notes, and you can practice previous year questions diligently by setting a timetable for yourself, and you have your mentor, like in this case I, to evaluate the answers, or you have, like, someone who's the mentor has appointed some junior, or someone who has written the like mains and interview and stuff. So anyone who's credible and who can do the evaluation, who can support in that very process, then in that case you get like, helping hand, someone who can actually guide you and tell you where you are going wrong, what more needs to be updated, what else is missing, what more needs to be supported per se. So I personally feel that test series are quite helpful for a student in quality enhancement also. What happens is, when test series are run, the questions are not very direct in nature. Once in a while, a lot of questions are created which helps a student to reflect upon the context of why that question has been raised. And many students end up writing with definition rather than raising the context, why the question has been raised first. So attending a test series will definitely add quality to your preparation, precision to your preparation, and within stipulated time, you will be able to complete all the chapters by revising it, and also by making some like solving the PYQs or making a list of certain expected questions. So I would say that will be quite profound. But it's not that students who cannot afford a test series cannot prepare or cannot do the same. It will be little tedious, but still it can be done. You should be like aware of that.
It means that mentorship actually makes it. We really need a guiding light while we prepare for this exam. So, ma'am, I have some of the friends who are also preparing for UPSC, and many a times I find them crib about it that they have to memorize a number of facts and figures. So, does sociology require memorization of facts?
See, when we are talking about memory, tell me something. If you won't have memorized A to Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, like which you can, even if I like shake you, you can just start saying that, right? It's effortless. If I talk about spelling, scat, bat, rat, mat, you can do it effortlessly. But there was a time when you had to memorize it. So, what is memory creating? Memory is fixing the basics and the patterns. Always remember, facts leads to knowledge. So, when you memorize facts and you synthesize facts, it builds your knowledge base. And when you synthesize and analyze knowledge, when you keep reflecting and contemplating over the knowledge you have gained, you attain wisdom. In the absence of facts, thus, wisdom cannot be. Facts is stage one or step one for attainment of wisdom in any discipline or in any walk of life. So basic facts is required. I mean, tell me something. Can you write good polity answers without articles, quoting the articles and knowing the articles? You have to memorize. In history, can you really write a justifiable answer without knowing the facts in history? So when you can't shy away from facts, like in history or polity or geography or XYZ subjects, whatever are there in GS, then why to refrain from basic technical words? And the thing is, because see, I'm not doing research, you are not doing research, right? Someone else has done the research and is providing the scientific backing to what we speak or what we indulge in, right? So the scientific backing that you want to present in your answer to make the answer sociological, okay, so the answer becomes sociological, or it deals with science of society when you are bringing in some scientific reflection. And when you are not doing research, then who else is doing? That means the researchers are doing. So that's why, to validate your answer, to make your answer sociologically scientific, you need to quote thinkers or research bodies, or maybe some magazines, or another research team, or any think tank which has concluded that issue, or which has had an opinion on that issue. Otherwise, the same fact sounds very commonsensical and it falls flat on the face. It looks very generalized answer. And that's why once in a while, you will have to memorize few technical words and the name of thinkers or other research bodies who have substantiated the same. Okay?
All right. So, also, the next question that I would want you to address is that if there's a student who's average, right? So, can that student go for such kind of a subject?
See, civil services preparation and selection is all about loving the process and knowing the things, and it can be done by any average student. It doesn't need any expert. I'm sorry to say that, but the brightest mind don't make it to this exam many a time. That also happens. This exam is about being meticulous, being organized, being planned, knowing everything. Like, with you should be just averagely good and you make it to the exam. You don't have to be an exceptionally bright gold medalist studying from some foreign university or something like that. An averagely good student majority of the times makes into this exam. There was this 2 3 years back, there was this Junaid Alam, the student. He said that he was an average student in school days also. In graduation also, he did it from a private engineering college. In private engineering college also, he got some very average marks, 65 68%. And like he was like, it's just that the basic material that I had for my optional and GS, I was very thorough with it. I revised it multiple times. I kept connecting and reflecting it with current affairs and preparing notes and memorizing it. And that's how I could clear this exam. So it's not just Junaid. On an average, you'll find that majority of the students who clear this, I mean, there's this Avnish posted in Chhattisgarh. So Avnish Sharan, he in his 12th standard, he had barely got 46% marks. Yes, in 12th he got 46% marks, and then he did his graduation. In graduation also, he was not getting exceptionally bright marks. He got something like 52% or so, and then he prepared for this exam, and then he made it. Okay. So there was another student. He was of my cousin. So this fellow, he is a senior IS officer in Sikkim. So he was a student's leader. And being a student's leader, he was highly distracted from Allahabad University. Okay, tilakdhari, gamchadhari, not studying at all, just fooling around. It was in his graduation third year that he realized that probably, he needs to focus better and he needs to do something about his life. He came to Delhi. Again, he left his preparation. He could not survive I would say, the exhaustive syllabus, ran back to Allahabad, stayed there for 6 months. Again, he was like, what am I doing? After all, I have to work hard towards something. So how about getting back to Delhi again? He got enrolled to post-graduation course over there, came back to Delhi again, started preparing, and he was All India under 20. So a lot of students who make it to this exam are a very average student, but they have the mind and the stamina of a marathoner. The stamina and mind of a marathoner keeps you consistent. Come what may, day in and day out, you just follow the disciplined schedule, the timetable, and that is how you clear this exam. So do not stir away from your preparation, the planning of your preparation, the microscopic details which you have to complete that day, and the macroscopic plan that you have for 6 months or 4 months, whatever you have created. And be very diligent about completing your daily targets. Once you do that, the process becomes seamless. It cannot be like someday you're studying 6 hours and someday it's 12 hours. No, it does not happen like that. There has to be a baseline. So suppose if you are studying for 8 hours every day and once in a while you're adding 2 hours or 3 hours once in a while, that's fine. But 8 hours means 8 hours. Okay, as per the requirement for test or some upcoming mains exam, and you're increasing the hours, that's fine. But 8.5 hours, nothing less. So you need some mental stamina for consistently performing that much, come what may, irrespective of your emotional, social background, strains, whatever is happening.
All right. Ma'am, now can you just list a basic book list for sociology optional? The name of the books.
So, all right, I'll help you with that, Manuranjan. Just give me some time. So, with respect to the book list that you people are interested in, I will advise few books from, I would say, IGNU, BA level, and you can open the syllabus and you can tally, because the IGNU booklets have the naming as such. For thinkers, go for Ritzer. For paper one, I would say 60% of the topics like family, marriage, kinship, like political system, social stratification, social change to certain extent, okay, can be covered up from Harlambus. Okay, Nitin Sangwan's Essentials of Sociology. So Essential Sociology, that boy, he is a selected officer. What he did was he actually simplified and made an abbreviated material from IGNU and few other notes that he had prepared in his times, and he just updated it a bit. And his book is, I would say, more like I would say, a reference material. जैसे दुखी फर्रे होते हैं ग्रेजुएशन लेवल पे, वैसे it is a base book for a student who is from non-sociology background. And yes, I would say it's a good base book whereby the introduction to sociology is made comprehensively for a beginner student. So you can read that book also as a starter, but do not rely on that book for your course selection. From that book, your basic understanding can be established 50 to 60%, but the real level which you need to create for fighting it fit in the exam, you need to refer more, you need to add more value to the content, right? Especially the criticism and relevance, you need to keep adding more of it. This question, Manoranjan, you asked that, ma'am, after this live session ends, this video can be recorded. This is getting recorded. So we will be providing the recorded version of this video. So if you want to listen to it on the loop, well and good, you can do that. You can share it with your friends also. And how to make timetable and plan the schedule. Okay, I have actually made a schedule of almost 12 hours. Yes, that's like I created a schedule in the this Telegram channel something like few months back, 3 4 months back. In the document section you can find it. I had, my handwriting is very bad, I'm sorry for that, but it's like like in my handwriting I have created that schedule for a student, how the student can manage the day in terms of how much can be studied, at what time what should be studied. So I have prepared that list. You can find that there, so you can just download it and you can edit it as per your need. I have created it for 12 and a half hours, as if the student is going to write the mains after a week. Okay. So presently, as you are a beginner, expecting that you'll write 18 hours or like studying for 12 hours or 11 hours is not possible. So edit it, abbreviate it, and start off with 8 hours. Just edit it a bit. Means fit in more entertainment sessions for yourself. But see to it, there is healthy entertainment incorporated. One thing which I always say to my students is, always try to understand that this preparation is a wholesome phenomena. So try to balance your mind, body, and your health with this preparation. Means do not entertain any emotional garbage or any emotional issue. Respecting the sanity of your brain and cleanliness, mental cleanliness is essential. So respecting the sanity and mental cleanliness, that this emotional issue can harm your preparation or it can harm your focus. So irrespective of which quarter it is coming from, learn how to filter garbage out so that your mind always remains calm, cool, and healthy and focused on the preparation. While you're eating, always ask yourself, what should be eaten by me which keeps me healthy? So that while preparing, I don't fall ill, or I don't have an upset stomach, or I don't put on weight, or I don't feel lethargic. So know what to eat and when to eat. So organize everything seamlessly and blend it with your wholesome preparation. Because preparation is not just studying for 8 hours. It's about living it 24/7. And when you're eating, when you're watching something, when you're getting entertained, every single thing is constantly making you or breaking you. So see to it that 24/7, the way you regulate and design your life is a celebration in itself, which is constantly targeted to one goal, that I have to get selected and I have to understand every single bit of whatever is needed in this preparation. So how to keep my body fit, my mind fit, my emotional well-being up to mark, and how to study what in what stipulated number of hours. Micromanage your time very well. Okay, and yes, do entertain yourself. Healthy entertainment is essential to keep you vibrant, to keep you happy, because a happy person can produce results. A sad, anxiety struck, hopeless person cannot do any service to self or society. So first, celebrate your existence. Be happy. And happiness comes when you are not only fulfilling your targets, but when you are aware that all the right things that needs to be done, you are doing it. Right? Okay. And for the rest of it, definitely I'm there to do the hand holding which is needed. So just find the timetable, not find. I mean, in the this Telegram channel, just download it. Okay, it's in the document section, or when the moment you go to my this thing and you find the documents. I mean, I don't need to train you people with technology. That's like my generation is that.
The last question for today's session. Then, answer writing. We talk about it. This also plays an integral role. So, ma'am, so what is the format of answer writing for sociology optional?
The, uh, the format of answer writing, okay, some student had raised hand in the Zoom call. उसने बस raise hand किया, कुछ type नहीं किया. Any student who has any concern, you can just type your questions. I'm addressing all the questions which we are. Yeah, Dheeraj, yes, you had raised the hand, so you can just like type your question. Oh, you are asking for the fee structure, but I'm taking care of the content, not the management issue. You can reach out to the management to know about the fee structure. That's one thing which I save myself from, focusing on the because everyone has their own area of expertise. My expertise is content. All right, so I'll focus on content. just reach out to the management for that. Acha, so what was the question? I just missed. Yeah, answer writing. Thank you. So answer writing, it's the most essential thing for GS, essay, or for optional. And let me share this with you that as per the question, the nature of writing the answer varies. As per the requirement of the question and nature of the question, the answer varies. As I told you that yes, you need to provide some theoretical backing once in a while by giving this insight that what content should be written, or like let's say how you need to quote once in a while thinkers, or the like research which you found from different sources, or like something which is published in the newspaper, because there are secondary sources and primary sources of data collection which are used to make the answer sociological. So whether it is a primary source or the secondary source of data collection which is authentic and which is validated, so that has to be written in the answer irrespective of what the nature of the question is. Most of the times you have to do that. But how to engage with a question, as I told you, it varies from question to question. So if there is a question like, let's say, which is as straightforward as I told you, differentiate between tribes and castes in India, so you will be talking about what are tribes and what are castes. But like let's say if there is a question which is talking about, like let's say there was this question in general studies which was related to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, that SC and ST both are vulnerable, but why is the sex ratio of ST better than that of SC? So you cannot start defining who is SC, who is ST. That's not the requirement of the question. The examiner is not asking the definition. You have to start off with the enrollment of first understanding why sex ratio gets disturbed in the first. What are the reasons which disturb the sex ratio, and how those reasons are lesser present in ST but more prevalent in SC because they are a part of the mainstream. So that is the context of the question. And that is what should make it in the first two sentences of the answer. So as per the demand of the question, the answer writing format changes, the introduction changes, the content changes. And that is something which is substantiated during the lectures. As I finish the chapters, I keep taking previous year questions. Every now and then also between the lectures, but majority of the times after completing the lectures or after completing the chapter, I take the PYQs. So that is how I see to it that not only the content is fixed, how to address the content and how to be fluid with the content, that for which kind of answer, what should be written. Because suppose there is a question on industrial revolution and French revolution also, varying from the nature of question to question, the content also needs to be modified, that how much, what should be written and what should be squeezed. Okay. So even though you have read it all, but what should be prioritized while writing it needs to be understood as per the variation in the nature of the question. Okay. And that shall be addressed once content is fixed. Otherwise, it's more of a theoretical discussion. I can prove it once you have understood certain topics and once you have understood the details of the topics. That will make more sense as I'll give more examples and the types of questions.
So much, ma'am, for addressing all the questions. And I believe that, yes, ma'am, we have addressed most of them. And then, ma'am, any final words before we end the session?
There's this question from Saurav Kumar. All right. I can understand that, Saurav. There can be a lot of students who can be under monetary strain and who can be under strain of handling preparation along with a job. Yes, that's quite tedious. Just like yesterday, one of the students who reached out, he has Punjabi literature, but he was like, ma'am, he's an army officer. So he's like, ma'am, I'm an army officer. I'm going to take a 2 months break, and in 2 months I have to prepare for mains. I know my prelims is getting clear, and I don't know how far I'll be able to do what all I'll be able to complete in 2 months. But army has provided me only 2 months break. So like how to go about with it. So I told him that that is like the break that is provided for preparation. But once you're writing the mains, you'll get a sabbatical, or you will get without pay leave. That does happen in the system. In private jobs also, that does happen when you have to write the exam. You get 2 to 3 months leave. That's there. But prior to that, yes, it is a bit tedious. But the happy side, let me tell you, out of 10 students who appear in the interview, at least 6 to 7 students have some prior job experience. Students who do jobs or have done a job, their sense of focus, I feel, is sometimes far more sharper because they know the value of time. They know that this time could have fetched them XYZ amount of money, or how much pressing it is to earn that money, and sometimes to put that money like on hold and like give that time for preparation. So any person who has worked understands the value of every single minute and every single day which they are devoting to preparation rather than the job. So and even those who are working after the job is completed, when they get back and they have to prepare notes, or they have to like go through it with the different things. Actually, this happened. One of my students was like he was quite young. That was 2017. So one of the youngest fellows who made it to the system. And so what happened was that in the this orientation session, he said to few of the students in the GS batch that, see, I know a lot of you know far more than me, and you really really like are very well read, so I'm no one to question your preparation or your caliber. But all I'll say that after my job I was left with very limited number of hours. So what I really trusted was the material which ma'am provided for her area and other teachers whom I was in touch with for GS. So I just relied on that material, but I was very thorough. Means any question from any area, and I knew the answer. I revised it for like 10 to 12 times on a go. So it was not like 2 or 3 revisions whereby you cannot reproduce, but you understand the content. Rather, 12 to 13 revisions whereby you can even quote it in the same language. So that kind of precision he had developed. He's like, I did not read from multiple sources, limited sources, but I was super thorough with it. And that is the like I would say secret behind my success. And I kept reflecting it with what's happening in and around, so that I incorporate those examples also in my answers. So that's what he had done, and that's what we advise. The saddest part is we have to quote toppers and thinkers to validate our point. I mean, when we say it, I think that should be more than enough. But still, yeah, when you listen to toppers, you feel more confident, that because it gets converted into a success. So yeah, that is what probably can be done. You can do a job, and along with the job you can handle preparation. Yes, you know that sometimes you'll have to compromise with your sleep. While you are traveling, you'll have to keep revising, you'll have to use more tools and methods for preparation, and use optimum usage of your time. Even while you are bathing or while you are eating, revision is going on, or some or the other aspect of preparation is going on, maybe listening to the news or something. But yes, you'll have to be more tedious and more detailed in your preparation, sort of. But nonetheless, remember, a lot of students clear this exam with the job. So that should not discourage you, that I have to work extra. I mean, I think that will polish you better for life, not just for election.
Thank you, ma'am. So, right. So, the final taking for today's session, the very first taking is that no matter what background you come from, whether you have taken science or any other subject while you were an undergraduate or not, you can just go for sociology as your optional. Along with that, a timeline is very important so that you can be more disciplined about it and you can achieve targets. If not 100%, at least 80 to 90% of it. Also, along with that, you need to focus on your answer writing practice, because answer writing is the key. And if we talk about the test series, you should practice and practice. That is very, very important. Whether you are, yes, yes. It helps you to be more organized in terms of your preparation, and it is a way of self reflection. Therefore, you should go for it. Thank you so much for joining us. Please stay tuned for more. Thank you.